So one of the things that we talked about is kind of the speculative nature of the solar enterprise. And you deal in real estate, and so you understand data is important in a lot of different ways. And I would think from the visitor industry, you'd be frustrated because what analytics, what data do I have to analyze how I'm leveraging my location, valuing my properties, seeing what's happening around me in the economy, or on the solar side, what infrastructure is nearby, what terrain do I have to deal with, what are the mineral rights. Tell me about how those types of things work against you in your overall business operations, and how the government can improve those things in your favor.
So I guess in terms of data collection, you're definitely right. There's a lack of data that the government helps provide, and in the local aspect, I would say there. In terms of tourism, I do feel like that is a little lacking. But at the same time, though, there's software that you could input into your own industry into your own system that can assist significantly, right? So, just for example, our hotel uses a cloud-based PMS, property management system, that's specific for hotels, and it gives us a lot of data, actually. If anything, I've even used AI to kind of analyze some of the things to see what the right price point is, things like that, right? That definitely helps a lot. In terms of, I guess, the solar side of it, there is a lot of data that you could very often monitor. Like I mentioned, lithium prices is something that you could take a look at often. And there's also projections that you could see often. And I think in terms of the solar side, there's a lot less that has to do with the local side of government than it does with federal or global. So that's a big plus, because that is a huge industry. So they do have a lot of data.
I'm talking more to site suitability.
Site suitability. Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, great. Yeah, then something like the drones definitely help a lot. Your traditional surveys would. So when we go for a solar site, you typically you want 15 degrees change in elevation, stuff like that, right? So then when you do traditional surveys, they go and pinpoint out a bunch of different locations, and they typically do like 10 feet or roughly 10 feet, right? With drone data, when we did it with drone, you get it down to 1 feet contours. You get it down. You get millions of data points, and you can even simulate where the water would rise quicker. Things like that will help you make sure that your financial model, and when you guess your civil work, or when you guess certain types of construction costs are going, it gets a little more accurate, you get a little more safe in the understanding that this is going to be a more of a concrete number than not, right? There's so many different variables that could happen in your financial model, and you're trying to make sure that those variables are reduced down as much as you can.
So how deep do you get down with your modeling for your sites? Do you do like progressions in terms of water runoff analysis, like 30 years based on your site selections?
Yes, of course. The surveyors and the engineers and the architect engineers will have to do all that. Right now, for our current phase 4, we're not there yet. Mm-hmm. But again, and that's also a business aspect decision on how much money do you want to spend right now. Do you feel confident enough that if you spend it now, it's going to be worth it down the line? Because sometimes you can work on a site and realize that it's not worth it, mm-hmm. right? And then that's just end up being sunken cost. One great thing that we have is we have a full team that works on this on our phase 4. There's four of them. One of them being extremely well knowledge in solar. He has over 1 gigawatts worth of expertise. He's for someone like him, he really understands where the good cutoff line of putting your pre-engineering in phase. So I think that I think the know-how definitely helps a lot too in terms of managing your expenses.
I see. So what do you think the opportunities are in the market coming?
Sorry, for which?
The Guam, like just Guam in general, like we're going to say industry, like, you have such a wide footprint, right? Where do you think the opportunities moving forward would be?
So definitely for the next 10 years, I would say, the military, obviously that's the big one, right? That's the one that's keeping Guam really afloat. But at the same time, obviously, there's a lot of players already in there. So I mean, yeah, if it's in the near future, I would say military is definitely one of the bigger ones. If you have any capability to do something with the military, that's great. If it's past 10 years, I don't know. I don't know. A lot of the times we get into new industries, it just kind of just happened to happen at the time.
Right.
We see that there's something going on. We see the writing on the wall that there's something potentially going to happen. One that's been clearly on my mind since day one, and I think now it's getting more exaggerated. I'm hearing a lot more people saying that this is a potential good industry. Is with the tariffs going on, with the tariff wars going on, if this is going to last for a while.
No arbitrage.
Yeah, so the fact that Guam is exempt from this tariffs, right? But we're still U.S., so we could ship to the U.S. That's a potential there, right? And this was so back in 2017, 16ish. We was it 2017? Anyways, we bid for the prime vendor for the military.
Oh, for the IDIQ.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
And then when we look at that, we're buying shrimp. We buy shrimp locally. In Asia, right? But then the prices we get has to be from Buy America, right? So we look at U.S. It's like triple the price. And I was actually thinking at that time, maybe we just create an industry here where we could help package and add 15%, some certain amount of value, make it U.S. right, and then ship it off to all these other places.
I was marketing a lot of shrimp bars back at that time.
Oh yeah,
a lot of rivers were near the mouths of bays were being looked at for sure. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's that's a potential industry that there's a lot of need for U.S. made products. Another one is actually drone too. Drones, you can't fly a drone inside a military base without. They're called blue UAS.
Okay.
You have to utilize those American-made drones. So even that's a potential industry that you could manufacture here, or you could do at least something to make it more of an American product, right? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of endless opportunity for that, and I know Gita's been trying to push that for a while, but I think there's no one that actually bit on this.
Are you manufacturing drones?
No.
Oh, okay. So you're not into manufacturing?
No, we're not doing any manufacturing, but I think that's a potential industry that Guam can be, because being a very unique situation where we're in Asia, but we're U.S. territory, right? There's a potential for us to kind of feed a lot of the either Buy America Act people industries around us, or the other way around to bring it to the U.S. with trying to minimize some of the tariffs or any kind of other issues that.
So was the drones just to facilitate your own need for solar, for survey and stuff?
No. It was a completely separate situation where Dong had the idea of trying to do this company, and I saw there's a potential opportunity. And I think that was the other aspect of it, is that because we were in development and we worked with a lot of solar companies, or we're working with not only our solar but we talked to a lot of other solar companies. We saw the pipeline of how to create a solar project, and then seeing how there's so much stuff that can be more efficiently done.
And then when you have the horsepower.
Yeah, and then when he started talking to me about what drones can do, I was like, oh, this is exactly what a lot of developers need.
Right.
Not just solar, but just
everybody.
Yeah, anything that's a larger scale project. Right. Maybe not like a small quarter acre home or something like that, but then something that's a larger project. You do need something that get things quicker and a much more efficient price. Right,
but there's value. You have a need, and in that need, you create a map. And in having that capacity, right?
There's also, so what we did before too was we also, there was one time when they found a UXO and unexplored ordnance. It was outside the base, so they weren't required to do any scan, but then, there's drones that hold magnetometers, and we did this for the 200-acre lot. We went through and we did magnetometers, so we see where all the ferrous material was. So that instead of normally a mech UXO company would have to go and scan the entire area, now they know exactly where to look, and they know this whole chunk has nothing. Don't even go look there, right?
Right.
Save manpower, save time, save energy. There's a lot more things that, although we do focus a lot more on orthomosaic and topographic maps, there's just so much things that they could do, and I think that's where the industry has a lot more to grow in Guam.
I agree.